So you spoke about power dynamics and having to have trust in a relationship or in the situation that you're going into. But you also mentioned how in power dynamics and sex that there is a risk and a gamble to it. Can you speak more about that?
Mhm. Well, trust in itself is a gamble because trust is a risk.
Mm-hmm.
When you trust somebody, you're essentially taking a risk because you don't know. It's not a guaranteed return on investment. It's like kind of like risk and reward almost in a way, because just because you trust somebody doesn't mean that it's a guarantee that this person is going to be who they say that they are,
In the bedroom?
and that's a real risk in the bedroom, in life, and everything, in business. Like all of these things kind of play hand in hand. I kind of feel like,
Mm.
particularly in the bedroom. There's some people who they talk a really good game and they're the most romantic people in the world, and then they get into the bedroom and they're the most abusive person in the world.
Yeah.
There's some people who, I mean, how many times has a girl been in a situation with a guy where he's like, yo, I'm gonna, when I link up with you, it's gonna be a problem. You ain't gonna be able to walk the next day. And, it's like the biggest disappointment in her life. Like, but it took an element of trust there when he said that for her to say, okay, I trust that this guy's gonna deliver. And sometimes they don't,
Let me ask you a
sometimes
question.
they do.
When you put two people that have trust issues, now this is a thing I'm gonna change it here. When two people
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of trust issues and they're entering into a sexual relationship, what does
Mm-hmm.
that power dynamic for a man look like? Say you have a woman who has trust issues, she has all kind of problems going into things, but she likes to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have a man who possibly been scarred from other women, who is divorced or has issues with his own mom or whatever, and that carries on into his personal relationships. How do they figure out who gives the power to who when they're having sex, or is it just, or are they fighting over it in sex?
Um, I don't know. I don't think it's firstly, I'll say this. A lot of stuff that we're talking about in this conversation is not presently known to people when they're actually having sex or being intimate, right? So in their mind, it's not like, the guy saying, I'm the dominant one. Most people, it's a subconscious thing. Like it's like um,
But that
playing a
subconscious
role,
thoughts
but they are
gets
essentially
loud.
playing a role.
I disagree. I feel like the subconscious thoughts they get loud, especially with social media now, where we're reading so many things that do attach to our subconscious. It almost becomes the front consciousness. So now everything that we
Mm-hmm.
were possibly not thinking about as a big deal, it now is hitting your front. I feel like our generation has changed where anything that we possibly thought before in the back burner now has become the front burner. So when we're going into sex, if you realize that I do think that some people are saying to themselves, okay, well, I'm gonna have power over you because you took a good game on social media, or
Mm-hmm.
you were sexting me this good. Now let me see how much I could change your thought process while we get into bed. So you have that fighting almost in the power dynamic with power. You don't think
I think that I think that's a really small group of people who think like that.
okay.
So a characteristic of a person who that I've noticed who usually like kind of taking a submissive role is they tend to overthink and think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they're constantly wondering what the motive is with an individual, right? And the person who's dominant is always overthinking as well, but they're overthinking more so in how can I penetrate this situation, where I can gain some sort of leverage or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think those two mindsets are usually only present in a person when they have a fully understanding or a full understanding of the power dynamics when it comes to, say, dominant and submissive. If they've never heard of it before, if they were never educated on it, then it's not even like a thought process to them. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the majority of people it's just genuine link ups, genuine energy, and just genuine chemistry, where it's like, oh, okay, I meet this person, I'm attracted to this person, I wouldn't mind sleeping with this person. They just kind of have to play their cards right. And most guys are like, okay, I want to sleep with this girl, let me play my cards right. Let me take her out on a date. Let me get her this. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me kind of prove to her whatever. And then when they kind of get into bed, either they have chemistry or they don't. I think that's a totally different thing than submissive dominant. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's the reason why it's so classified and it has its own like sector and its own community, because these are people who are consciously aware of giving away a certain level of power and a certain level of energy to another person. Whereas traditionally, most people, they're just kind of looking to see if a vibe is going to match or not, you know? So, yeah, it's a thin line, because like there's always power dynamics in the bedroom, but for a very small group of people, they're conscious about it and they're intentional about it, and I think that's very important.
For the last part, I would agree, which is why you see such a small community of people who are um, into BDSM. People are into kinks. People are into submissiveness and dominance, because it is the you're correct. It is the people who think on the subconscious who tend to get into those communities, because the level of trust is a level of certain power gain and power giving up, and it's discussions. Most people who are into those communities, they have the discussion first before they even enter into anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's delving more so into the realm of sapio. So sapiosexual is somebody who's attracted to the mind, right? People who are in that realm, they're typically more attracted to the mental aspect of intimacy. And I feel like that goes beyond, I want to say beyond, but it's a different realm from just genuine chemistry and just genuine attractionness and just, genuine like connection that you're having with somebody at a moment, and that's what I'm saying is, I think the majority of people who probably are intimate most of the time, it's like kind of like the basics, and that's why they call it vanilla, right? It's the basics. It's you're attractive, I like your body, I like it, I like the way you feel, and these things are like enough to kind of satisfy the majority of people. And then there's a small group of people where they kind of need a little bit more. Like, they like being in their own head. They like the idea of getting into others' heads, and that mental kind of war that they go through in their head is actually the thing that's turning them on in a way, and the thing that's actually stimulating them. So they're getting their stimulation through a lot of mental interaction and a lot of mental engagement, whereas traditionally most people don't usually typically get from sensuality through touch, through smell, through just the typical things, like, so when it comes to those kind of power dynamics where people are intentional about it, there's a lot of intangibles that's involved with that whole process, so that's why trust is so important when it comes to that. I don't claim any sides when it comes to this stuff. I don't identify with any of it. But
yes.
No. But I kind of I'm really good at I guess trying to study people and just the way they think and certain things like that. And intimacy plays such a huge role in our lives. And if you can kind of learn how to understand power dynamics and intimacy, it's going to help you in so many different areas of your life, especially business, especially in your career, whether it be a corporate situation or whether it be a situation where you're trying to negotiate or close a deal with somebody. These kind of things are very important to learn. And I think if people understand that, if there is such a, if there is, people should understand that sex and business, they actually kind of go hand in hand. And once you realize that, it's easier for you to become successful in both. Be successful in the bedroom and be successful in business. And that is a good life, my friends.
And that is another conversation we had to have on another episode. This is the end. Thank you so much, Anya, for being on my show. And I will see you all next week. Bye.